My name is Vipin Singh. I represent a company called Murphy Business Sales. We help with buying and selling of businesses, business valuations, machinery and equipment appraisal. So, if anyone is looking to start an entrepreneurial journey through buying a business or a franchise, we can help with that. Or if someone is looking to retire and exit their business, we help with that as well. And thank you for having me on this panel. It's a great panel. I'm learning a lot, and I'm sure as we go into the Q&A, we can talk a little bit more about what we do and some of the women-specific business issues that could be pertinent for the discussion today.
Yes, excellent. And then you were kind enough to arrange for us to have Bertha on our panel today. So Bertha, I'm going to let you go next and introduce yourself, who you are, and what you do.
Great. Thank you so much, Dennis. And yes, thank you, Vipin, for the introduction and our conversation that we had a few weeks back. So I'm going to share, I have two hats I think that I would share today. I am the newly elected president to the New Jersey Association of Women Business Owners, and we are in support of all women business owners in the state of New Jersey and beyond, since we have some virtual members now. And I am also the founder of a global coaching and consulting firm for small to mid-sized businesses. For all businesses, specifically, I work with women business owners, but I also work with men business owners, for-profit and nonprofit alike, making sure that they're clear on their strategy, communications, and having lasting success with customer loyalty. And my business is Star One Professional Services.
Excellent, excellent. And last but not least, we have Desirae. Desirae, you want to introduce yourself and what you do?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Desirae Haluk, and I'm the owner of Clarence Services, which is a marketing agency for startups and small businesses. And our target audience is just that, startups and small businesses, usually under 10 million in revenue. We do both B2B and B2C, so it doesn't matter the industry. But at Clarent, we teach our clients that they don't have to boil the ocean or have these large $1 million marketing budgets in order to have an effective and strategic growth plan. Yeah, that's a little bit about Clarent.
Excellent. So we'll come back to Bertha to get started on this next round. And kind of, Bertha, do you want to take a couple minutes, about 5 minutes or less or so, to kind of explain exactly your roles in these two organizations, what you do, and not just women in general, but that's the topic, but whatever it is about business, because in a certain way, business is business. It doesn't care who you are. You just have more challenges as a woman. So if you go ahead.
Sure. Thank you. I think I want to go along the lines of what we were talking about in the first segment and making sure that you have a healthy business. Especially now we're thinking of many businesses, the buzzword has been, pivoting. And I had a business, and now what do I do that I have this threat of the pandemic? What do I do now that I'm not, face to face with my clients or with my vendors or with my fellow business owners? So in thinking of having a healthy business, the first thing I would always say is to have a plan. And I think back, if I was to surmise what Karen shared and Rochelle, and even Kelly's presentation of our nonprofit, having a plan as to you're assessing where you are and where you want to go is critical. So that's one of the things that we do, is making sure that if you are new in business or growing your business or trying to figure out, what do I do now because what I was offering then, I can't do that anymore. How do I make that pivot and shift? What is the strategy and where do you want to go? So being clear on where you are now and what you want to do. Having an idea of what is a clear goal structure. One thing that I talk about with my clients in terms of the goal criterion, many people know about the SMART goals, setting SMART goals. So specific, measurable, attainable, realistically high, and that they're time bound, which is the critical part of that. But I also add 3 letters to that, and I call them why SMART. Why SMART goals? They have to be written. We're doing so much in our day-to-day that we have to have a written plan. Take everything that we have in our head and put it down on paper so you can visually see it and attack it. Maybe it's not something that you'll do now. You put the time frame and attack it second, whenever that time comes around. But you have to write down your goals. Second, they have to be in harmony or in alignment with everything else that's going on in your life. You are an individual, holistic. We have a personal life and we also have a business life. And business owners are ripping and running a lot of times trying to focus on What do I got to do next? How do I service my team? What are my competitors doing? I love what you were saying before, Desiree, trying to boil the ocean. I have to put this on social media. I have to be here. I have to be there, following every shiny object, but not stopping for a moment and saying, what is it that I really want to do? What is it that's most critical and most important? So is it in alignment with where you're going and what you want to do and what's in your life? And the third part in the why is yours. They have to be your goals. And that's what fuels the joy. That's what fuels the passion. And that's where you connect. So I think if I was to say one thing that we do and we do well is working with clients and making sure that their goals are clear and that they have a plan of action. And also write out what your obstacles could be. Write out all your possible obstacles and the things that can happen in the future and work out the solution so that when it does present itself, you have a plan B or a plan C. You know who to delegate to. You've made those friends. You've already had those alliances so that you can say, you know what, I can reach out to Desiree for that because I know that that's the area that she works in. So having a plan, thinking in the future, writing it out, and having joy and passion in it all.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And then we'll come back to Desiree. If you can spend about 5 minutes talking about, all the many things you do for your clients and suggestions.
Sure. So again, we do a lot of pretty much digital marketing services, but we've evolved a lot into fractional CMO services. I find that a lot of business owners, whether they're women or men-owned businesses, they can afford to have full-time marketing leadership on their staff. But yet every company needs marketing. As much as a lot of people don't understand that, they do. Every company needs to market themselves and they need to understand their brand. And so the fractional CMO services really gives the opportunity for companies to be able to afford that leadership, and it takes the onus off of the owners of the companies or the COOs or the CEOs. A lot of times, even as women or men business owners, we try to put a lot on our shoulders. We always spread ourselves thin. We're trying to do everything. Some advice from me, just being in business for a few years, don't delegate what you can. Think about the value of what you do and your expertise inside your own brain and what you're capable of, also what you love to do. And you take all of those things, and the things that you don't enjoy or you're not as good at, delegate. Doesn't mean you can't offer those services or those products or whatever, depending on your business, but delegate those tasks. And I have a lot of business owner friends who realize that after decades of being in business. But I've learned that from my leaders in my previous life where I didn't own my own business. I learned you just have to delegate, and that also allows you to be scalable. I think a lot of people, they sort of plateau in their business because they only have, 60 hours a week to put, if they want to live. I still think a 40-hour work week is healthy. But again, to help you grow your business and scale at the same time, but still maintain that healthy lifestyle, you need to delegate. And that's a really huge thing for me, how I've grown as a business owner. I can't do everything as well as a lot of other people. And so that's why I have staff, and I'm hiring another person now. If anybody knows of a communication specialist, let me know, send them my way. But yeah, I think another thing is fear. A lot of women and men, but I think probably more women, because we have, I don't know, I think a lot of it has to do with what Karen said, is we are caregivers and we care less about ourselves and we care more about everyone else. But we have fear of success. And for me, I wanted to be a business owner for a very long time. And finally, the moment at which it happened was when I rid myself of that fear. And now I don't look back. I don't let COVID scare me. I move forward. I think, you know what, this is my fate, and wherever, my path should bring me, I will end up. And I know that at any point I can go and get that corporate job again if I can't pay the bills at home if I can't feed my family. But we are always juggling so much as women and men, just as parents. I have 2 little kids. You worry about, putting food on their table. And as a business owner, every month you have a different revenue coming in. It's not consistent. And so you want to just make sure that, there's always that, first of all, create a safety net for yourself and know that there's always an option B, but don't have the fear of succeeding. I know I have a fractional CFO out in California. I'm in New Jersey. And he's like, Desirae, your goal you should be able to hit, X amount of revenue this year. I'm like, whoa, no. I don't want to kill myself here, And I'm like, why? And it turns out I'm in Q3 and I'm already hitting that goal that I told him not to set. So, and I didn't kill myself over it. So the point is that just rid yourself of fear, delegate, and believe, because if a man can do it, we can do it. And to me, I don't see any difference between me going up against a man owning a marketing agency or any other agency. I don't see the gender there. I'm driven and I move forward, and, we all bring something different to the table, and that's it.
Excellent. And before we jump off to Vipin, I just want to say, I think just from a male perspective, looking at the female perspective, and just to put a plug in for teams a little bit, I think some of our best teammates are women team members, because they are able to look around and say, hey, wait a second, I can do this. They're more looking for the support when they already know they can do it. It's just that confirmation. I think that's something that teams allows everyone to do, that you're not in it alone. And again, some of our best teammate members are women leaders. I'll call them our leaders. So, and Vipin, with that, I will turn it over to you, sir.
Thanks, Dennis. And I agree. I've had very good experiences and conversations with the Relaxed Teams members. So including this one, it's been a great group. So staying on the healthy business theme, I would bring up a few points. One, a lot of us, including men and women, we think of starting a business, and not as much or as often we are thinking of buying a business. I think part of it is to do with the risk that we feel that we are exposing ourselves to when we are buying into a business, because it seems like it's, at the end of the day, it's essentially cash flows that you're buying into. It's numbers that you don't know if you can rely upon. But what I'm learning through my experience at Murphy and working with other business owners is that not everyone out there who's trying to sell a business is looking to cheat, or it's not like they are selling a business because it's not doing well. The best clients that we have who are looking to exit their business are clients who have built a business over several years of their lives and are looking to retire, and they would love it if someone was to take that business over and grow it. And it's like their second child that they sometimes don't want to sell to someone who's coming with a pure financial incentive in mind. They want someone who will take care of that business, grow that business, take care of their employees. There are clients we have worked with who don't want their employees to lose their jobs or have a bad experience. They in fact would ask us to set something in the agreement where the existing employees get a share of the sale price. So the employees get a huge bonus when the business sells and they still stay. So we structure it so it's like a retention bonus type of a structure. So there are a lot of ways we can reduce some of those risks that people think are there when you're looking at buying a business. And the other thing I want to mention is, if you own a business and you're looking to sell, one thing obviously you could do is grow your business, grow your revenue, cut your expenses. There are various ways to do all of those things. But a very important thing that all business owners, including men and women, should keep in mind is that when you're selling a business, you're looking at typically your last 3 years of financials, and you're presenting your tax returns. And sometimes business owners end up mixing their personal expenses with their business expenses. And a few business owners might think that that's helping them with their taxes. But especially when it comes the time to sell your business, and if there is too much mixing of business and personal expenses, that can cause a big problem. And banks would not like to see those kind of tax returns or financials. A buyer would be really concerned if the numbers that he or she is looking at are reliable. We can add back some of the personal expenses to the extent they're reasonable and come up with pro forma earnings, but it's not always easy. So our recommendation to existing business owners is always to focus on keeping your financials clean. There are various systems out there these days that can help you do that, QuickBooks being one of them. And make sure that when you're thinking of selling your business, you're not mixing your personal expenses, as you might be saving 20-30% on taxes by mixing your personal expenses, but when you sell a business, you're looking at 2 to 3 times multiple of your earnings. So if you think of saving $20 on a $100 expense, at the same time, that same $100, if you were not mixing a personal expense, you could get $300 for those $100. So it's a 20 versus $300 of a differential. So huge differential that one should keep in mind. And talk to your advisors, talk to your CPAs, talk to your business intermediaries. Sometimes attorneys also have a view into how a deal should be structured. So as you're selling, you can plan appropriately from a tax point of view. We are all aware of discussions going on in DC around increasing tax rates. So how do you structure a sale before you talk to a buyer? You need to plan for those things and give it time. So preparation is key. Let me stop there.
Excellent. And as a CPA, I'll have to chime in on a couple of those things. First of all, I definitely agree with you. The QuickBooks, though, you can usually go with Xero a lot better. I highly recommend, even if you get it on your own, Xero is just exponentially more affordable, more powerful, does more things. But not only that, people lose sight of the fact that they are trimming and saving all this on a little bit of taxes, and then they retire and realize they have no Social Security because they've been chopping out of their self-employment taxes, and the nickels and dimes they've been saving come back to haunt them. So, we always look at all those things. I think you hit the nail on the head with a number of them. You've got to have that plan. If you're planning on selling, you got to start looking 3 years in advance to really look at what you're doing. And you want to be in control when you're selling. You don't want to sell as a fire sale need to sell. You always want to be able to sell and let it be your choice as opposed to it being someone else's choice. And that's something we always bring up with clients. And one other thing I'll put a plug in. I know it wasn't directly from you at the time, but one of the members of Teams, Jonas, has bought his business and swears by it, loves it, and is exponentially growing it. And his owner is still there. And it's a lot of the things that you talked about. The owner just said, I'm done owning. I want to just do a little more, but I love it. I want to stay part of it. And Jonas has worked out wonderfully by purchasing a business, and it's could be the right thing a lot and great. That's why we have you here to talk about some of those and the advantages of women-owned businesses and things. So as far as with that, we'll come back for the final comments and reaching back in order. So we'll go back where Vipin, you will now get the chance to give your last statement. Basically, what's the one thing you want people to remember, and what's the best way to reach you besides your profile page on Teams?
Yes. So one thing I would want people to remember is when you're considering a startup versus buying a business, think of buying a business as a viable alternative. In our view, it's a lower risk way of buying into existing cash flows. With startups, you are looking at building cash flows from scratch, which happens sometimes, but a lot of times it does not. So look at buying a business as a viable alternative. In terms of reaching me, my website is murphybusiness.com/Edison, as that's where my office is located. And all my contact information is there.
Excellent.
Thank you.
And then we'll come back. And as far as 2 minutes or less, Bertha, do you want to give your summary as to what's the one thing people should remember from today? You have some wonderful points. What's the one thing you really want people to remember, and how's the best way for them to reach you?
Sure, absolutely. I think it's have a plan. If it was to surmise everything that we just said today from top to bottom, whether it's about your health, whether it's about the business health, whether it's about not commingling your financials, have a plan, write it down. And don't be afraid, like when we were younger, to dream big. Dream and then solidify the dream with some structure and make it a goal. and you can make it happen. So that if someone does tell you, like they told Desirae, that's the number you should hit, and you're like, no. Once you write it down and it's in your universe and in your atmosphere, you'll be able to target that. One thing that I'd also like to share is think about collaboration. There are others that have been there, done that before you. You're not alone. There are so many resources that are available to us as business owners that we can avail, that sometimes we don't avail ourselves because we don't know that they're there. So when you're networking, don't always just look at the other individual as a potential prospect or client, but who is behind them? What's their network? Who do they know? And what do they know? And really intentionally ask questions that can help you, and then always turn around and ask how you can help them, because you may have the answer for that other individual. So make sure that you use those resources. And I would say that that's one segue into my plug and my share, which is NNJABO, the New Jersey Association of Women Business Owners, where we believe in relationships, referral, and revenue. And it's just a group of women business owners and men business owners that we have as members that are looking to support one another, grow our businesses together, and really point you in those directions that you may need. And the way that you can reach me and my business is going to star1professional.com. This has been a great pleasure. I have a lot of notes. Thank you all.
Thank you. And to finally wrap it all up, we'll have Desirae.
Yeah, I think the takeaway here that the advice I would give is really don't kill yourself. As a business owner, you don't have to be up all night and up all day. I know that I'm an insomniac. I strategize at night and I execute during the day, but you don't have to do that. You can have a well-balanced life and own a business and still be there for your family, and you can be successful at it. The second thing that I didn't mention yet, but one big takeaway that I think is so important is to appreciate your employees and treat them like it, and let them know that they're doing a good job. And if you need to criticize them, give them constructive criticism, and you can say it with kindness in your voice or in your messages, rather than, kind of beating down on them. My Clarent wouldn't be Clarent without my staff. I know I'm small, there's only 3, but honestly, I wouldn't be growing without them. And they have expertise that I don't have. And I really appreciate them. When I know that we're crazy busy sometimes, and they work weekends, even though they aren't expected to, I'll send them a gift card from Amazon or something, just like send them a little bit of appreciation goes a long way. Doesn't have to cost a lot. They're just little pats on the back that keep people feeling motivated. And so that would be my takeaway. You can reach me at my website, clarentservices.com. It's not Clarient, which is the gigantic company that I get a lot of traffic from. It's Clarent, like my 2 kids' names, Claire and Anthony, CLAIRANT, services.com. I also have a very helpful 5-minute marketing with Clarent series that's on YouTube. You can also access it from my website. But I just give business owner tips on how they can market their businesses in under 5 minutes. So you can check that out as well.
Excellent. And Kelly, we want to come back and thank you for your organization and all that you guys do, and for being here. We appreciate you taking the time to be with us.
My pleasure. Thank you.